What's cracking, peeps? It's Jax, and we're back with Buried. I closed the game. Oh wait, hang on. Is it continue? Oh wait, have I just messed it up? Does it do autosave? Oh, thank God, we're back. Okay, yeah, we're back with Buried. Let's keep going. It's a massive corridor. In fact, like I'm in some kind of building underground. It seems to go on forever. This corridor is quite dark, lit only by emergency lights, spaced every 10 feet or so. I assume I'm now underground because this corridor extends far beyond the limits of the building I entered. I realise that someone might not appreciate finding me here. I'm going to tiptoe quietly. I feel like a ghost, like I truly have no business being here. I move slowly, my feet not making a sound. If anyone is here, I want to make sure they don't hear me. I tiptoe forward as softly as I can. Just coming into view at the end of the hallway is another set of concrete stairs leading further down into the depths of the earth. I can still hear the ringing noise every so often coming from somewhere in here. I look ahead to the concrete stairs, wondering just how far down they go. I approach the stairs, and as I take my first step down, I get the sense that I'm crossing some sort of line here. There may very well be no going back. But when I said I'd leave Deniis, you want to find someone and then like come back for him. Oh man. That's it now, Deniis is out. I'm so annoyed at myself, man. I'm so annoyed. As I head down the stairs, I notice that they look aged. That damn ringing noise is somewhere below, louder than ever. I feel like I'm walking down into the cellar of a haunted house, the light becoming scarce as the stairs take a slight turn. I can feel the temperature drop. As I keep moving down the stairs, my mind seems to lock in on the unknown fate of the rest of my crew. Frank is married and I've met his wife a few times, a nice woman with a huge laugh. My heart sags a bit when I realise I might never again get to hear him belting out classic rock tunes during lunch break. Joe, well, I don't know too much about him. He's 22 years old and is considering community college. His folks are already deadbeat, so he has been providing for himself since the age of 16 or so. Out here in the woods, regardless of their backgrounds or ages, I'm responsible for them. Whether frequenting the local bar after a long day, or while away from their families on this risky job, I'm responsible for them. Maybe I can still find them and still get to hear Frank singing in a deep baritone voice after a few too many drinks. I slowly stick my foot out in search of the next step. I can't help feeling like a child as a very powerful fear seizes me. I'm expecting a monster to reach out of the darkness, slicing into my throat. After what feels like forever, we come to the bottom of the stairs. I'm closer to the source of the ringing noise now. A door sits securely in the wall and looks just out of place down here as I feel a sliver of light seeps through, illuminating the area. The door has what looks like a panel with lots of labels and lights. Small embossed print above the panel says Level 01 Entrance Gate, Transport Sector, and there's a button with no label on it. A button with no label. Let's inspect the panel. Let's not just go around pushing buttons. The panel looks like a diagnostic for of an alert system. See, that would have pushed the alert button. Each label meant to communicate some status. Lockdown engaged, experiment in progress, shutdown engaged. Those all appear to be off, but one of the phrases has a slightly blinking red light next to it. The only powered light on this whole thing. Abnormal entity breach. What the hell? I slowly pushed the door open and more lights poured in as I walked through. As I do, that ringing or beeping or whatever the hell is gets a little louder. The door closes behind me with a click. At this moment, I can't help but think about Deniis back on the surface. What is going on up there? Why did that bulldozer turn over? What is it that knocked us out? I hope I haven't left him in a dangerous situation. I've been so preoccupied with my own fear that I nearly forgot about that ringing noise. It had become just background noise. I take a few more steps and can now see where I am. It makes no sense, yet another thing that simply seems out of place. The shapes and muted colours of metal are easy to identify, but it just doesn't belong here. And there's the end of chapter 1. That would have made sense. We could have finished on that chapter. Okay. Okay. I so regret leaving Deniis now. I don't know why I did it. Oh, respect the dead. You and 64% of players pulled Tony's body out from under the bulldozer. You and 76 players were up front with Deniis about Tony's death. You and 55% told Deniis you believed his story. You and 75 players went to investigate the ringing sound. You and 36% decided to leave Deniis behind. I regret it, but here comes chapter 2. Whoa. We're standing on the thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. The rails look well used but not old. There are small overhead lights that are very dim, as if they are running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes me feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying. There's a small light further ahead, and then a space that breaks the monotony of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe? This understanding comes with a very strong sense of trespassing. I am definitely not supposed to be here. I am not calling out for anyone. We are staying silent. We are stealthing our way through this. I keep my mouth shut. I don't understand what kind of situation I'm in, so there's no need to alert whoever might be here. The reality of what I am seeing is sinking in. Whatever this place is, it reaches way underground. That seems impossible to me, making anything that's on the other side of this tunnel dangerous as far as I'm concerned. But of course I'm going to go on. Human curiosity is going to see that. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now, and there's some other sound. Something like the faint hum of machinery. I can either go left or right. The left is slightly lit, the right not so much. This makes me uneasy because I get the sense that one wrong turn in a place like this, and I'd be wandering around for hours. Looking each way, I jerk my head right as I hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Footsteps. Did I really hear something? I wonder as my eyes strain to see anything. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So those are my options. To the left, a flickering lights indicating that I'll at least be able to see. There's also a hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right is just darkness, but I also heard footsteps in that direction. I kind of want to go in the darkness, man. This is another decision that I'm probably going to regret, but I want to go right. And that's an important decision. Into the darkness. If there's anyone here, they're worth speaking to. Right it is. Oh, mate. I bet that was the wrong choice. It already feels like the wrong choice. Let's do this. As I leave the glow of electric lights, things feel a bit more sinister. Also, the tunnel or hallway or whatever it is seems to widen out up ahead. I wonder how Deniis is doing back at the login site. I wince remembering the blood around his side. The darkness I find myself in feels thick, like walking in syrup. I'm reminded of the fear I felt as a child when I had to go into the basement to fetch tools for my dad. I was sure there were snakes or spiders or monsters of unimaginable horror lurking down there. I feel that same way here, walking through the tunnel. That's when I see it, a human figure far back in the tunnel, silhouetted in the faint light at the end. He's standing on some other platform and likely can't see me. It looks like he might be holding a gun, but it's too dark to be sure. We could... it's a person, but they're holding a gun, so I think you have to stay quiet. This person might be dangerous. They've got a gun. I do my best not to move. I watch as the figure looks back and forth down the tunnel. It's unclear if he's looking for something or just as lost as I am. But he can't see me in the dark, and after a moment the figure rushes away through a door. Just as well. I don't want to reveal myself to anyone until I know more about where I am. Now, was that wrong? Because the whole idea of us going down the dark bit and hearing the footsteps was to get someone's attention. I don't know. I feel like yelling would have been a wrong move. Where are we now? As I head further into the tunnel, I reach another platform. I'm looking and trying to process where I am now, when I suddenly hear the rapid footfalls of someone running towards me. They're sprinting this way from the dark side of the tunnel, and fast. I can't see anything but their footsteps echo towards me. After seeing that person with the gun a moment ago, I'm not sure if this person is armed as well. I realise I only have a few seconds before they'll be on top of me. What's hide and attack? What the hell's attack? What does that mean? I mean, I think I want to hide so we can get a good idea of... what this person is. I don't want to stand out and, I guess, hide and attack. Thinking fast, I duck under the platform and hide in its shadow. I wait a few seconds as the runner gets closer and closer, still cloaked in the dark. At the moment when they are about to come into the light, I lunge at them. This was a bad idea. We both go down and roll as an exhausted breath escapes them. From the grunting, I can tell it's definitely a man. I end up on top and have him pinned to the ground. It's then that I can finally see his face. I can't believe my eyes. It's Deniis! Deniis, what are you doing down here? I left you at the login site. I immediately released my grip and held him up. Oh my god, Roger, it's you. I was about to have a heart attack. What the hell, man? I'm sorry. My heart is racing. I didn't know it was you. How did you get down here? And why are you down here? You didn't seem fit to move. He bends over and puts his hand on his knees, breathing heavily. I can see that the gash on his side is inflamed now. Oh my god. It's not safe up there, he says, as though that explains everything. I started running to get away and ended up here. Why isn't it safe? Tell me. I was waiting for you where we last spoke, and then I heard something in the woods. At first I thought it was a car radio, some crackling static, but it was much louder, like some kind of demon. It got louder and louder and freaked me out. I just started running. I fell into some kind of sinkhole. This damn ground just fell out from under me. I ended up in this weird hallway that led me to this tunnel. He pauses as if evaluating whether whatever he's just said is crazy or not. Well, you're here now, and honestly, I'm so glad to see you. What do you say we check out this platform and see if we can't get some answers? There's light coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they're dim, red emergency lights. I start to wonder if this explosion at the login site caused a power outage in this place. Whatever this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head is getting louder. I'm starting to think it's some sort of alarm. When we come to the large open area in the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. As much as I try to ignore the reality, it's undeniable. We have stumbled into some kind of high-tech transportation system that is buried beneath the forests of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sort of fear as to what the hell we have walked into. I notice that Deniis seems confident though. We reach the large opening. We have to climb over the rails and up onto the platform. I have to help Deniis over the rails and then up to some small utility ladder that is bolted to the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches the large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heavy breath. You know what? This is ridiculous. I quit. I'm not going any further. On top of worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in the mood for Deniis to act like a baby. Get up, pull it together, Deniis, or it's okay, take it easy, you can do this. So it's tough love or not tough love. I'm going to not give him tough love because I don't think he'd like that. I'm not the one with the gash in the side. Yeah, I think to myself, so I decided to cut him some slack. Damn, boss, I'm sorry. It's okay. I don't know how you'll still feel on your feet, if I'm being honest. Stubbornness. You need a minute to rest? I ask as warmly as I can muster. No, if I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's keep going while I still can go. I reach down, help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves up onto the platform. Right in front of us, there's an entrance to a long hallway exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realise these red emergency lights might be on for someone else who is actually supposed to be here, like the guy I saw earlier standing on the platform. Yelling out is pointless, I think. We've got Deniis now, so I think this is good. I think we're in a good place now. I'm still not sure if I want to alert anyone to the fact that there are strangers in this secret place. And the thought of hearing a scream, even my own scream, in this empty place is too much to bear. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is racing with what sort of place this might be. It's obvious that it's meant to be secret, and if it is supposed to be a secret, and there was a power outage recently, maybe most everyone has been evacuated. But then why is this one person still here? This thought does nothing to make me feel any better as we walk towards the platform exit. We step inside and it seems just as empty as every other place we've come through, weakly illuminated by more overhead emergency lights. We're standing inside a hallway that looks surreal for a moment. I'm so glad we've got Deniis back, I really am. I'm so glad we got him back. I think that was luck more than anything else, to go right and then find Deniis. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen coming into the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There are chairs against the walls, and the floor looks well cleaned, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm, if only to confirm my own thought. But for what? Deniis asks, and then he asks the question that has been on my mind since I found the little building in the woods. What the hell is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. We reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. This is followed by a clicking noise, and then the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking on. So the lights are on now. Ha! That does look like a hospital. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of the emergency lights is suddenly replaced by bright white fluorescent ones. That mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow the power being back on urges us on. It's then that I notice the ringing noise has stopped. So it had been an alarm. But for what? Just a power failure? We head down the hallway, the electric hum of the lights sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, the place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long, with two main doors. One door opens onto a large room that looks like a conference room with a whiteboard and papers strewn about. Across the hallway, another door looks like a laboratory of some sort. Deniis slumps against the wall in defeat and lets out a scary sounding chuckle. Something funny? I ask as a dark and brooding panic starts to grip me. Deniis just keeps chuckling as he slides down to the floor. I'm just going to sit here while you look around, he says. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of a road. Now, do we enter the conference room or enter the lab? I feel like the lab's going to give us more answers. Let's go to the lab. Okay, small little room there, okay. Walking inside, I see vials and glass containers held in a clear glass case. Everything is either glass or silver, and I can instantly feel like I'm dirtying the place up. I notice several test tubes in glass cases, as well as some sort of tube system that seems to have a clear fluid trapped inside of it. In the back corner, I find a laptop in screensaver mode. We're loggers. We're contractors. We're not going to know by looking at a test tube what it is. Let's look at the laptop. I hit the enter key and a plain grey background pops up. There are several icons and folders to choose from. I click on a folder labelled Test 1.5 Ethos. A few documents are filled with formulas and names I mostly don't understand. But there are some things that are easy to understand. Things that make my blood go cold. Subject number 6. Cause of death, embolism or aneurysm or both. Ideas for new delivery mode. Spherical liquid. Induce comatose state first. Terracore Company. Possible plutonium supplier. Exit the lab or look at the test tubes. Wait, this is a choice to further look at stuff or to exit, which makes me wonder that if I'm taking too long in here, something might happen to Deniis. But I'm going to look at the test tubes. I bet this is pointless. I can't help but check out the test tubes. They're all filled with varying green and light blue fluids. One of them looks to have some sort of glowing dirt resting in the bottom of it. Another holds what looks like a grasshopper submerged in liquid. Only it's the strangest grasshopper I've ever seen. At first it looks like it's expanding and contracting, like a blowfish. Then it contracts so much that it vanishes completely. As I look closer, it springs back into existence in a completely different test tube, and I'm embarrassed when I actually jump back. I take another look around the lab, trying to piece together what might have been taking place here. I smell some sort of chemical in the air, and it makes me think that someone has used this lab recently. Outside in the hallway, I hear Deniis grunting. I head out of the room to see him still seated on the floor. Okay, good. But I don't get very far, because as I exit, a man comes rushing around the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. Whoa. Jesus Christ. Who's the guy with the bloody M4? It's hard to look beyond his rifle, but the man carrying it is young with messy dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if maybe he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been cooped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I trust with a gun in a stressful situation. As he sees us in the doorway, he screams and brings the gun up. It is aimed directly at my head. Deniis jumps up and stands next to me like he's ready to run for it. I recognise him by his height and build. He's the person I could barely see back in that dark tunnel. Whoa, whoa. Let's just put our hands up in the air. Let's talk to the guy. Let's try and defuse this situation. I put my hands up in the air, surprised at how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because this feels like a dream. Maybe it's because it feels like I'll snap awake if the maniac pulls the trigger. Who are you? How did you get here? The man asks harshly before we can answer. He continues speaking. I don't recognise you. If you're here, you would have had to sneak up by the security mics in the entrance hall. What? Unable to think of anything else to say. Who are you? Did you do this? The man eyes us both, and as I see something in his eyes that unsettles me, he is scared. But there is something else. We're just loggers. It's much better than saying we're nobody. His eyes look distant for a minute, and then he says, bullshit! But for some reason I'm pretty sure he knows I'm telling the truth. Someone knocked the power out. It's back on now, but if it was out for long enough, well, we're in a heap of trouble. Was it you? Who sent you? Look, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't know what you're talking about. Something happened out in the woods. Are you alone? Are there others with you? The armed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the hell did we get in this situation, I think to myself. If only I had left that damned ringing noise alone, we wouldn't be here. I'm not really sure if we want to give this guy information yet. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. Do we say it's just us, or do we say we're looking for? I don't know. If we say we're looking for our crew, then he might think that we're sort of. He thinks that whatever's happened is our fault. If we say we're looking for our crew, that might not go down well. So I think if we just say it's us. The man looks up and down at me, trying to tell if I'm lying. What happened before you came here? No clue. I open my eyes on the ground and don't remember anything. The last thing I remember was fueling up my power saw, and then I was on my arse. We could hear the alarm from where we were, and there was a flash of white light, like a bubble coming out of the ground. But how did you get in here? I pointed down the hall towards the subway. We came in that way. The doors weren't locked. His expression calms a bit, but I'm still very aware of the gun that is levelled less than a foot away from my face. That's gonna get someone. If we grab the gun, like, he'll end up shooting like me in the leg or killing Deniis, or yeah. Please put the gun down. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out. Oh crap. With that, he uses the muzzle of the gun to flip my hard hat onto the floor. It's a childish move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me he knows he's in control now. He then levels the rifle at Deniis, and I can only assume it's because his wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Oh no. Deniis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. Step between Deniis and the... Yeah, absolutely. We are not letting Deniis die. Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step out in front of Deniis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Deniis and the man seem a little confused at my action, and I do my best to swallow down my fear. I don't know what's going on here, but we are here by mistake. Well, you have no business here. But now that the power is on, I think you might be too late anyway. For what? But he doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backwards with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats a question he asked before, one that makes no sense and honestly makes me think he might be a little crazy. Who sent you? You assholes from the Pentagon? I'm not quite sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? Well, okay, that's not gonna help anyone. No, I say. We're just loggers. Something blew up and my friend got hurt. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Likely story. but I see a flicker of recognition in his face that makes me think he might just believe me. Still, his grip on the gun is as tight as ever. The look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. "You both just stand still," he says. "Sooner or later, someone will come along and I'll turn you over." He again thrusts the gun forward as if it has an invisible bayonet on it. "There's no need for that. I have no guarantee that you won't pull the trigger." "Look, we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are." Then, in a moment so fast that I just about missed it, Deniis lunges forward. I have no idea how he is moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago, I was worried about how close to death he looked. But now he's moving lightning fast, his left arm coming down on the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening, and there is a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of the round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realise that I have not been shot. I look into the floor and see where the shot missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. I'm paralysed and shocked for a moment as Deniis and the man fight over the possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall I could use as a bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Deniis is overpowered. Grab fire extinguisher and come... Are you kidding? No. Punch him. Punch the guy. Deniis has the man pinned on the floor, but it isn't strong enough to keep him down. As I fall to the floor to help, the barrel of the rifle swings right in front of my face, a reminder of how close I had come to being shot. On my knees now, I deliver a hard, stiff punch to the man's face. I don't punch someone often. Never, really. I'm not usually the brawling type. Still, it is apparently effective. The man's head snaps back hard and his grip on the gun loosens. Deniis grabs the gun and falls to the floor, clearly winded and in pain. Our attacker is immobilised, and I can feel a shift in the situation. Yet although he is basically harmless now, I feel the need to pummel him, a desire that builds with each second I look at him. I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but... Oh, I shouldn't. I feel like this is what I want to do, which is bad, because it's not the right thing to do. Stand up and step back. I don't know why. I just feel like you keep hitting him after he was down. I'm not sure where the anger comes from. It's probably been buried under the panic and exhaustion. But it comes out in a series of punches, my fist flying as I kneel over him. My right hand smashes into his nose, drawing blood. My left clips his lower lip, busting it. "Roger! What are you doing? He's defenceless now." Somewhere in the flurry of punches, I bust open his right eyebrow. It's not until I see the multiple trails of crimson flowing and trickling down his face that I finally stop. I look to my fists as if I've never seen them before. I'm slightly embarrassed that I was unable to stop myself. Deniis instantly hands the rifle over to me, and I take it with shaking hand. "Oh my god! I can't believe you stepped between me and that gun. He could have killed you." "I was pretty sure he wouldn't," I say, although I had known no such thing. "Still, thanks, man. That was some heroic stuff. You would have done the same, right?" Deniis says nothing, his eyes look to the floor. "I don't think you needed to keep hitting him like that." I don't say anything. He's probably right, but it was too much of a risk. What do we do now, boss? We've come this far and I want answers. I sense that Deniis does too. I walk over and pick up my hard hat off the floor. After placing it on my head, I turn towards the man. We get answers from this guy. No answers. The man manages to whisper, his eyes fluttering. Blood is all over his head and neck from where I let loose on him. Okay, let's move, I say, pointing the gun further down the hallway. We've come this far and I'm not going to let this guy stop us. We walk down the hallway until we come to the end. A single elevator waits for us. It's still okay, that's not how I thought that was going to go, okay? Right. I chose the punch option for numerous reasons. One, it's not the thing I would normally do, right? Okay. But I felt like we don't want him to sort of come back later, because he seems a loose cannon, this guy. He seems a bit out of it. So at least that way he knows, to stay away from us, hopefully. And also, I was hoping that we'd be able to talk to him and get answers from him, but apparently we can't do that now. Because I might have knocked him out or something, I don't know. It doesn't say that though. The man manages to whisper. A single elevator waits for us. It's still sliding doors larger than a normal elevator. Oh, I think I've made a couple of bad decisions, but still. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about... Oh, so we are going with him. Okay, good. I can tell it's making him uncomfortable for me to have the gun. What's your name? Marcus. And you work here? It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, but he gives us a little nod. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be? No. There's got to be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it. I need a first aid kit here for my friend, I say. Where might I find one? Down on the second floor. But we can't go down there. Well, yeah, just tell me what's on level 2. He looks at me like an idiot. You must be aware you're inside a classified government facility. It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, I'm sure our government would want to help. Save my friend. So take me to the first aid kit. I can't. You don't have clearance. Hell, I barely have clearance. Then seemingly to himself he mutters, I make this place run. And not even a thank you, just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a friggin' chaperone. I interrupt his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, squinting through the blood where I'd bashed him over and over. I wondered for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee, especially as hard as I did. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things have gone terribly wrong in this place, and the explosion in the woods, or whatever the hell happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the second floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive to threaten him or ask for something. Okay, right, so we pummeled him. Let's not threaten him anymore. But we might not get any answers now. Look, it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on to find our crew, to survive. I know that this isn't a normal situation down here. It looks like all your protocols have been blown to hell. Can't you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, thank you. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened stares from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. Well, okay, he's cooperating. I wasn't expecting that, to be fair. So that's good. He is at least cooperating to an extent. But we may have made an enemy out of him, even though he threw a gun on us originally. It's exceptionally well lit and looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options for 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. So after we get a first aid kit for Deniis, how do we get out of here? We can't leave. Once the power comes back on, the whole place was put on lockdown. What? What? Can't you override it? No. It's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks as deflated as Deniis. We can't get out. We're stuck here. Deniis leans into the corner and almost falls onto the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him. I can see that much in his face. Slowly, we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motor fill the space. Well, that's just not helpful. What can you do? So I'll be stuck here forever. Marcus scowls at me. I think it's a fair question. It doesn't seem unreasonable to assume he won't be able to get us out. We'll find somebody with the access codes, and they'll be begging me to figure out how to lift the lockdown. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely turn their computers on without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground helping idiots who don't even trust me with keys. So he's a techie guy. What goes on here? That's what I want to know. I don't care about how big it is. Marcus shakes his head. You may as well shoot me. I can't tell you. Why not? It's beyond classified, and the things I don't know, I don't even cover the start of it. What does that mean? I ask, starting to get irritated. It means that even if I wanted to tell you what sort of work is done here, I didn't know enough about it. I'll say, how big is this place then? It's a government facility of the highest secrecy, a research facility. It goes 4 stories underground, and quite frankly, it scares the piss out of me that you two got in here so easily. Why is that? This is a Black Ops graveyard. Even the CIA doesn't even know this place exists. What knocked out the lights? What knocked the lights out, actually? Yeah, that's quite a good question. Seems like a sort of a power outage. That's all I know. There was an outage, and then what? Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened, and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried getting the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I asked, feeling a sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place. Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns locked away in every room in this place, just in case, you know. So we're still in danger, or just in case of what? I want him to be as specific as possible. So just in case of what? As he opens his mouth to answer, the elevator comes to a stop and the door slide open. Marcus is out right away without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for a glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Deniis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of government facility keeps loaded guns in emergency vaults in every single room? Oh, there we are, guys. There is chapter 2. So now we've met Marcus, who I don't trust for a single minute. You can tell he's scared, but he's really annoyed with whatever the hell is going on in this government facility. We've also, in a way, made an enemy out of him by the fact that I kept punching him. But I don't know. If we didn't, I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like something bad might have happened. He might have taken the gun back or something, I don't know. But yeah, come back for the next chapter where you hit chapter 3. And maybe try and see what's on these security cameras to see just what exactly happened down here. So I hope you are enjoying this. I'm really enjoying showing it to you. I think this is really cool, and the story is just great. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. And if you did like this video, hit that like button for me, because it really does help me out. And if you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and check out some of the other videos I've got going on. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, have yourselves a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.